But I was mentioning before, luring the foot targets. This is one of the behaviors we'll do with the dog. Like, she can take him here, and she can lure him onto the foot target like that and reward him, right? She could also lure a sit, right? So she could have the dog in front of her, pushing her. She can lure, lift it up, and he sits, and she rewards him, right? So that's just taking lures and applying them to behaviors as we go forward. So sits and foot targets, we teach purely with luring. Downs, we teach with a combination of luring and spatial pressure. Stands, we teach with spatial pressure and luring too. So if he's in a, there, she taught him to stand up, right? So if he's in a sit and she wants him to stand, she pushes into him, see his butt kick out and he stands up, right? And that's what's called a kick-out stand, where I'll teach the dog to stand on cue by standing up like that instead of walking forward. So this is just us manipulating a dog into various behaviors. She can also bring him in beside her where he's going to lure, where he's going to heel, and she can lure him with his head up in preparation for teaching him how to heel, right? Dogs that walk next to you and look up at you, this is a drill where we teach the dog to walk along next to us, right, with its head up, which will eventually translate into focused heeling, which is a competition-style heeling where the dog's walking to you and look at you. And so you can see that's done with luring, right? She can teach the dog to turn, she can put the dog on the foot target and teach the dog to turn, move its rear end from side to side. So here, she puts the dog in and teaches the dog to pivot around in circles, and that teaches the dog how to move its rear end from side to side. So eventually, when she's next to him in heeling and she needs to turn, how does he know how to turn? He goes like this, and she taught that with luring, so that he can look at her and she can step and he'll swing himself around like you're making turns. And there's a whole bunch of stuff you can begin to use these tools to manipulate as you go forward. If she wanted to teach a dog, I mentioned before yesterday when we were talking about recalls that there are terminal behaviors at the end of the recall, right? So one of those terminal behaviors that I mentioned was going between your legs, right? Well, so we just lure that. So she has two pieces of food. She lures him around and then brings him between her legs with a piece of food, right? And then eventually there's no piece of food in her front hand and she sends him around and then pulls him through like that. And eventually there's a word to that. And when she says place, he'll go around. He goes around between her legs, right? So that was all taught with luring. Very straightforward, right? And then those lures are gradually faded. So just so you have an idea of where the skills will go. In puppies, we're not so concerned with all the behaviors right off the bat. We're concerned with good communication, engagement, and good luring fundamentals. And if those things are good, meaning I've practiced luring enough so I have really good control of the dog and the dog's trying hard, then teaching all these behaviors is a piece of cake. It goes together really easily. If any of those things are a weak link, you didn't do a good job with your communication system, you're still struggling with your engagement, your dog's kind of tentative or unclear about the luring, or you don't have good control of their head when you're luring them, then these things can all be kind of challenging. But if those fundamental tools are solid and we've done a good job with them, then behavior creation is easy. That's not the hard part. It's when you're trying behavior creation without all your toolbox full. Yeah. And so you can, just as an idea of where this stuff's headed as we go.